Section 4 is all about percentages and ratios. It's obviously, we've done it in Unit 1, we've done it in Unit 2, but ratios and percentages and fractions and decimals and proportions are revisited again and again and again in all 3 units. So here it is again in 4.1, page 51. It's finding the percentage of quantity. Get back to basics again. Obviously you're allowed to look at the old videos. So question 2a, find 20% of £380. So this is essentially the question. You're allowed to use a calculator. You just simply do this, use a multiplier, 0.2 times 380, I believe, yeah, times 380. You pick up your machine and just punch it into that, and off you go. So 0.2 times 380. Do get used to using multipliers because they're really lovely, especially with a calculator. £76. You can of course do it this way again, 20 divided by 100 times 380, and you still get £76. Let's make that look a little bit more like an 8 and less like a I don't know what. Alright, so 85% of 40, 85% of 40 kilometers, actually that's the storyline. We just simply do this, 0.85 using multipliers. Multiply by 40, pick up the machine, get an answer. So 0.85 times 40, it's going to be 34. So 85% of 40 kilometers is 34 kilometers. Okie dokie. Question 5 is all about multipliers. I'll just do a few for you. I won't necessarily do any of the questions, but anyway, 40%, what's that as a multiplier? That means 0.4. 1%, what does that mean? 0.01. 15%, what's that? 0.15, very easy, isn't it? 24%, again I'm getting straight from the book, 0.24. 9%, what's that? 0.09. Again, these are multipliers just in case you've forgotten. Let's just carry on. 12.5% or 12.5%. Don't be fooled by it. 0.125. Alright. 3.5%. Again, don't be scared of it. Just think. There is 3%. So 3.5% will be 0.035. And the last one, 225%. Well, that'll be 2.25. 2 being 200 and the 0.25 being the 25%. And they're multipliers. Alright, so question 6 then, up to grade D. It says use multipliers from your table to work out 90 increased by 10%. Well, okay. So if I'm going to increase something by 10%, I have my original 100%, then put the 10% on top. So that becomes 110%, but that's not a multiplier. 1.1 is. So if I'm going to increase 90 by 10%, I take my 90, and there's no storyline behind it. I then multiply it by 1.1, pick up my hardware. Here we go. 90 times 1.1, and that gives me 99 whatevers. Could be pounds, kilograms, it doesn't really say. Now, next one, I've got 240 meters. And I want to increase it by 5%, so multiply by 1.05. Essentially you're working at 100%, which is 240, and the 5%, but we're doing it in one step. So 240 times 1.05 automatically puts in a 5% increase and adds it on for you. So that's 252 meters. Meters, right. Do one more, let's do a decrease. I've got 375, it's pounds this time. I want to decrease by 10%, so decrease by 10%. So essentially I'm multiplying by 90% because it's reduced. So I'll go 375 times, and 90% of course is 0.9. So here we go. So 375 squids multiplied by 0.9 gives us, now watch this, 337.5. If we're talking about money, do not forget you must be able to communicate accurately and clearly. You've got to put the 0 there. Alright, so 0.5 will not score you with a mark. 0.50 will give you a mark for the quality of your written communication. QWC mark. Alright, it's worth a mark. Just for being sensible. We'll do one more of these decreases. I've got 480 litres of I don't know what, but I'm going to decrease that by 7.5%. Well, if I'm decreasing by 7.5%, I must have 92.5% still present. So therefore, if I multiply by 92.5, that's 0.925. Pick up the hardware and get that and flip over the page in a minute. So 480 times 0.925 gives me 444. So there we go, 444 litres. And that's quite nice, isn't it? By the way, check out the lovely fairground background. I think it's really nice. All nice. It's just really nice. Anyway, I'm turning over. Question 7 is more of the same. Increase 250 metres by 40%. Just multiplied by 1.4. It's not very interesting. Question 9 is quite nice because it talks about football and tennis rackets. They've essentially got, let's just turn over, they've essentially got a little table that says item. This is question 9 on page 52, and they've got a football here. Really couldn't bother to cut and paste that little bit. We've got a tennis racket. And we've got the original price. We've got the price of the football is £15. My goodness, £15 for a football. Getting for £5 down the market. Sometimes 2 for £5, you know. So anyway, tennis racket is £65.75. And the story says the table gives the original prices of some sports equipment. The shop reduces these prices by 20%. Ah, right. So I'm going to work out the new price. Now remember, it says reduce by 20%. So if I'm going to use multipliers, how about I multiply? Oh, that's terrible. Doesn't show to go green. How about I multiply by 0.8? If I reduce by 20, I still have 80% left. So I'll multiply that one by 0.8. We're now going to get the new price for the the football and the tennis racket. So here we go. 15.9 times 0.8. So that's 80% of the original value. So the new price is going to be £12.72 in the sale, and the racket originally costing £65.75. Multiply that by 0.8. That goes down to, again, watch this, 52.6. Don't forget to put the 0 because of the quality of your written communication mark, and you want it, don't you? Just for being sensible. Don't throw it away. That's that one. There's a couple of VAT calculations there in question 11. 17.5%. Remember, if you're working out VAT and they're still quoting 17.5% as opposed to the 20 that is current, doesn't matter. If VAT, so I'm going to put the word if VAT equals 17.5% and you want to add it on, therefore the multiplier is going to be 1.175. There it is. There's your 17.5% and there's your 100%. So there's a, it looks like an Xbox actually. Anyway, let's just do this one. This thing costs £212.50, and they want to add on the VAT. So it says plus 17.5% VAT, and I've got to work out the actual price of the whole thing with the VAT. Well, it's very simple. Take on the 212 spot 50, and then multiply by 1.175. And while I'm at it, may as well work it out and get an answer and then feel satisfied. 212 spot 5 multiplied by 1.175 equals, here's the final price, 249 spot 6875. Trouble is, pennies don't go that far down. So rounding off to 2 decimal places, that's how pennies work in this country, £249.69. Please note, this 7 is 5 or more, it will push that 8 up to a 9. So that's the final answer for the price of what looks like an Xbox 360, but who am I to know? I fancied in question 15. It's one of these ones where you have to scratch your head and think about them. It's a problem solving one, so I would do it because it's as hard as they're likely to get, these things. And then I'll sign off. Right, question 15 is at the top of page 53. A jar contains 80 sweets. Great, so I've got 80 sweets. I'm getting excited already. Oh, here's all sweets. 2 E's. 80 sweets. This is the story. I have got 25% of red. I have got 20% of them are yellow. I have got, there are 10% more orange sweets than red sweets. So 10% more orange than reds, and then I've got 50% of the remainder are blue. And the question is, how many green sweets are there? So if I put here green sweets up the top there, I don't like green sweets, you know, just don't like them. Not nice. I like sort of cherries and black currants and all that kind of reddish sort of thing there. Right, so here's the story. I've got red, yellow, blues, oranges and green sweets. I've got to finally work out how many green sweets. So let's gradually wear out the problem. Let's work out the reds. 25% are red. So here I go. Here are the reds. 25%. So 0.25 times 80 sweeties is, well, a quarter of 80 I know is 20 reds. That's done. Now the yellows. Well, that's easy. 20% are yellow. So 0.2 times 80. Well, I know 2 8s are 16. So there we go. 16 of them are yellow. Now 10% are more orange than red. That means I've got more oranges than red by 10%. Well, how many reds have I got? Alright, so let's do oranges now. 10% of red sweets equals, well, 10% of 20. Therefore that's 2. So therefore I've got orange sweets. I've got 20 plus the extra 2 makes 22. Alright, so the remaining 50% are blue. Right, 50% of the leftovers are blue. Right, here we go. So far I've got 20 plus 16 plus 22. This many comes to 40, 50, 58 sweets. The remainder are blue. So 80 take away 58 equals, how much is that? 12 sweets. Or is that 22 sweets? Let's go for 22. I prefer that. Again, I'm allowed to use my calculator, but you know, if I can do it without, why not? So 22 sweets is the remainder, and 50% of the remainder are blue. Therefore, here are the blues. Half of 50% of 22, well, that's half them, is 11 blues. So let's work out how many are green. Well, so total so far, I've got 58 sweets plus these 11 blues comes to 69 sweets. So now I can do the greens. Here are the greens. I've got 80 sweets, take away 69, that's going to leave me with 11 sweets. I think that's right. So have a quick check. Quarter of them are red, 20. 20% of them are yellow, 16. There's 10% more oranges than reds, so that's going to come to an extra 2. So 20 plus 2 is 22. So that's right. So far I've got 20 plus 16 plus 22 comes to 58 sweeties. The remainder comes to 22. Half of them is therefore 11, so I've got 11 blues, and the remainder is going to be the green. So I've got 58 sweets so far, plus those 11 right here which are blue, comes to 69 altogether, and 80 take away 69 is 11 sweets, so I've got 11 green sweets as well. And I think I'll stop there because that's the last one in that category.